So yeah, I guess they've kind of led the market with it really. Um, One of the things that you mentioned earlier, just in terms of talking about the nuclear industry, was talking about the issues with the level of expertise. So basically, you'll have expertise within the um, the buy. Let's call them the buying manager or the buying stakeholder within the organization, within the end organization, the nuclear organization. They will have certain level of subject matter expertise. But the reason they're outsourcing or buying an outsourced service is because they need some additional expertise that either they don't have or they need extended capacity on that level of expertise. So, so this is where if you've got somebody in procurement who's suddenly coming in and working on in nuclear and buying pumps that are critical to the a backup
Mhm.
recovery of a power station or the
Yeah,
making sure it doesn't melt down, um,
correct.
clearly that's a potential problem. What role do you see? How far do you see the role going of the supplier in that side of things in terms of let's get into how these scopes get created. There's a balance point there.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I would say, so 20 years ago is when I really started teaching in earnest, as in not just a webinar here and there, but I mean, it's was my profession in addition to practicing law. 20 years ago, there were more than enough subject matter experts within buying companies that unless it was something completely new with respect to technology, there was a subject matter expert who could write the scope of work, who understood what he or she wanted. And even if it wasn't completely outlined in paper, through the relationship management with the supplier, that person could get what he or she wanted. And then as I started seeing more and more technology that we didn't quite understand. I started to see a shift where the supply company was involved in developing the scopes of work because it was their particular technology. It was their whiz bang thing. And so they were influencing the writing of the scope of work based on what their whiz bang thing delivered. So if it delivered, a blinking blue dashboard and nobody else offered a dashboard, let alone a blinking blue dashboard, guess what? The statement of work now started to say you shall deliver a dashboard and that dashboard shall blink blue. Well, guess what? There's only one company that can do that. And the other part of the scopes of work is that they're written so that you could go out to compete. You write a scope of work so that you could go to the market. And if there are three companies now that can develop a dashboard that blinks blue, you can purchase the correct dashboard that blinks blue at the lowest possible cost that the market has to offer. But in order to do that, you have to have the same scope of work so each company can bid and tell you how much that is going to cost you to hire them to deliver that dashboard that blinks blue. When we lose that subject matter expertise, I need a dashboard that blinks blue within the buying company then either has to go hire a third party company to write that scope of work for them. And there are retired experts out there all the time that can be hired to write a scope of work for your organization because they used to be the subject matter expert in that organization. Or if those experts are not around, then some companies turn to the supply base and say, whoever is the incumbent, can you help us write this scope of work for what we need for the next generation? Sometimes those scopes of work written by a particular supplier actually go to the market to be bid. And the competitors know this scope of work is written in such a way that my competitor wrote it because there's a feature in here that we don't have that must be produced. So therefore, we know it's tilted towards our competitor. And sometimes it's just good business to have a supplier write a scope of work if you don't have any idea what it takes, but you know what the outcome is. You know that the outcome is a dashboard that blinks blue, but you have no idea how to get from I hire the supplier to I get a dashboard that blinks blue. Then it makes sense to have that supplier draft that scope of work, you might choose to select your supplier first based on other qualifications and a request for solution, then collaboratively develop that scope of work, and then allow that supplier to implement that scope of work because you've selected them for their solution, and you're going to trust them that they actually know how to draft and deliver a dashboard that blinks blue.